Harley-Davidson has a plan. A big one. 2 million new riders in 10 years and 50 new models over the next 5 years. That's the line glowing on the PowerPoint presentation in front of the assembled group of journalists in Daytona Beach, Florida. This is no small feat, the company admits. To accomplish it will take more than getting the faithful to buy more bikes, it will take people who don't ride Harleys. And in some cases, those who don't like the brand at all. Harley has tried to reach this group before. From the XR 1200, to Buell, to the V-Rod, to the Roadster, to the Street 750, every few years and decades Harley-Davidson takes a swing at cracking the urban market. And every time the market responds with varying levels of enthusiasm. Or outright disdain. Harley-Davidson isn't going to just stop trying. And to roll that rock up one more time, it went all in with a brand new model based on the Street 750 platform, the Street Rod. The Street Rod has been so thoroughly revised over the Street 750, Harley-Davidson claims, that it is really an all-new bike. The scope of design changes make a compelling case. Aesthetically, the Street Rod has been revised with a shorter subframe, new tail section, headlight, fairing, LED lighting, except the headlight, longer swing arm, and a significant degree of quality enhancement. These enhancements included bar and mirrors, higher quality footpegs, tact and wiring, and improved fit and finish. Only the fuel tank, which has been raised and placed farther forward, and some frame sections are shared with the Street 750. The Street Rod has presence where the Street 750 struggles because of its universal cruiser looks. Styling lead Shed Jale emphasized that this was the intent from the start. The seed was planted in 2013 with his Street 750-based design concept called RDX 800. Shed Jale's fundamental notion was to make the Street 750 into an urban bulldog. In the following years, Harley-Davidson would embark on marketing meetings, surveys, and research into the global marketplace, and what it came back with was what riders have been asking for years, a sports standard. Turns out, Shed Jale's bike would be a good starting point. To execute this vision, the design team started with the riding position. Instead of sitting back in the cruiser position, you sit up on the bike in a forward stance. The fuel tank was moved forward to facilitate this. The rest of the design itself reflects this bullish intent. It shares the same tank as the Street, but the rest of the bodywork is a casserole of flat track heritage, Street Fighter cues, American muscularity, and classic Harley-Davidson touches. It's not a retro bike, but it's still a Harley. Looks are one thing, but engineering a bike that's fun to ride is another. But unlike, say, the Sportster-based Roadster where changes were principally aesthetic, the Street Rod is thoroughly revised for improved performance. Chassis changes are thorough. Reek is significantly steeper at 27 degrees versus the Street's 32 degrees. Trail is reduced 0.6 inches to 3.9 on the Street Rod, while wheelbase goes from 60.4 inches to a sportier 59.4. A beefier non-adjustable 43mm inverted fork carries dual 300mm brake discs with 2 piston calipers, while a pair of gas-charged, preload adjustable piggyback reservoir shocks work on a longer swing arm. Travel at both ends is 4.6 inches, the Cruiser Street offers 5.5 at the front and 3.5 at the rear. The Street's 17/15-inch wheel combo becomes 17's front and rear on the Street Rod, and the new cast wheels also accept wider, sportier 120/70 and 160/60 tires. All of this helps increase cornering clearance from a grindhouse 28.5 degrees on the Street to 37.3, left, and 40.2, right, on the Street Rod. The Street Rod also has more power to exploit these handling improvements thanks to a host of changes to the 750cc liquid-cooled, 60-degree V-twin. New pistons bump compression a full point to 12.0:1, while revised intake ports, higher lift cams improve power output. To work with these changes, a drag racing-inspired, larger volume airbox feeds dual throat, 42mm diameter throttle bodies, versus 38mm single, connected separate intake manifolds, and it all exhales through a revised, shorter muffler. Engine rev limit bumps up from 8,000 revolutions per minute to 9,000. The results of this finagling are 68.4 horsepower at 8,750 revolutions per minute and 47.2 pound-feet of torque at 4,000 revolutions per minute, an 8% improvement in torque across the rev range and 18% more peak horsepower. It is now called the High Output Revolution X. First impression: sitting on the bike, ergonomic changes are readily apparent. You sit taller on the 30.1-inch high seat, more hunched over the tank, and your fists are in the wind, and Harley's marketing speak. Only Harley would write twin fisting as a marketing point. The tank is a holdover from the Street 750, and is raised and moved forward to work with the new, more aggressive rider triangle, but coupled with the mid-mounted controls, 3 inches rearward versus Street, it spoils the riding position. Being so wide, the tank doesn't allow you to cinch yourself on the bike like you would riding one of Harley's benchmarks, the Yamaha FZ07. One thing the extra power cannot overcome is the weight of the Street rod. At 516 pounds wet, it's more than 100 pounds heavier than FZ07 and similar guys. It's also heavier than more direct competitors like the Street Twin and Ducati Scrambler. Although it doesn't feel heavy at speed, those power and torque gains can only do so much to motivate the machine. It's also not as lithe and nimble as you expect a modern sports standard to be.